Good morning again to everybody. I'm sorry we had started a shiur on the Zoom, but suddenly the internet fall. So I'm going to go on and tape the shiur and then send it, Be'ezrat Hashem, to all of you. So as we started saying about the reasons why and how is it that suddenly this nation, those people that came as princes to Egypt and were like considered the top level, the high level of society in Egypt, because of Joseph, became suddenly slaves. So there were stages, as we said. The first stage was, as the Or HaChaim HaKadosh explained, Vayamot Yosef. First of all, as long as Joseph lived, they were dealt like princes, like high society. So Or HaChaim HaKadosh said the first stage, when Joseph died, so they were not treated the same way when Joseph was alive. They were now like very good people in the society, high level, but not as princes as they were. As long as the brother lives. All the brothers died, and then it went down another level. And now they were considered like normal people and even less. And then slowly but surely they just went down and down in the level. And when the whole generation died, then it happened. They couldn't deal with the generation that was the generation of Joseph and the brothers, but they could and they did deal with the next generation. And the problem was, why did it start? Uvnei Israel and children of Israel paru vayishretzu, they multiply a lot. Vatimale haaretz otam. The problem is vatimale haaretz otam. The land was filled with them. Vayakom melech hadash al Mitzrayim, and then a new king rise up, and he didn't know Joseph. And then the whole problem started. And here we must understand, what is the Torah trying to tell us? The Torah is telling us something that unfortunately happened through the history, not once and not twice. For example, the most, let's say, unfortunately, the most famous example is the Nazis. That, as I told you before, my grandfather, he was a very rich guy, and he was dealing with cattle. He was selling cattle and to the butcher, and the butcher used to sell it for meat. And one day, the authority came to him and told him, you have to pay the taxes before you sell it. So normal income taxes, there are income taxes. You sell, get the money, and pay taxes. And here they asked him to pay for something he didn't yet sell. So he went to the governor of the area and told him, what is this? They were good friends. And he told him, you go to court and you will be successful. You're right, 100%. But I must tell you, things have changed. And if you win the case, it's not, you're going to lose your life. Something is going to happen. They're going to take you in the middle of the night and who knows what. So my grandfather came back home, and the one who decided what to do was really my grandmother. She was a very tough lady, and when she heard that, she says, now we're moving. I'm not going to go to the whole story. One sister stayed there, and unfortunately she was killed in the Holocaust. But they didn't see what's going to happen. My grandfather had to hear it from the governor of the area because they were good friends. The signs were there. For example, my uncle Alav HaShalom and my father Alav HaShalom, they were, let's say, well known, and they were like the most accepted guys in the village. The next day, when Hitler became the Führer, nobody talked with them. And this is exactly what happened in Egypt. You have to understand. The Egyptians were waking up in the morning, and suddenly they realized that those Jews were taking everything. My father, Alav HaShalom, says in Germany, there were small, like very small, in let's say quantity-wise in the population, But most of the money was held by the Jews. They had the banks, they had all the big shops, they had everything. And this is exactly what's happened in Egypt. Suddenly, the Egyptian realized that those Jews are taking everything. The grocery shop that belonged to Abdallah is now Stein. The diamond shop, the jewelry shop, the jeweler was Ahmed, is now Stern, and so on. And they couldn't stand it. And this is the old story that always, unfortunately, the Jews come, develop the place, but then they want to mingle with the people, with the Goyim. When the children of Israel came to Egypt, Joseph put them in Goshen. And by the way, this was the first ghetto. So ghetto was not a bad thing. It was a good thing. It was a place that they put the people together, and Joseph put them there. It was the best land in Egypt. But it was also isolated from all the other societies, so they could not be touched by all the impurity and all the evil that was going around, and the running after your pleasures, your physical pleasures. They were living with themselves, keeping the mitzvahs and doing the right things in the eyes of God. But as always happened, the youngsters, they wanted to have nice life. And they started, why can't we go to Alexandria, to Cairo? We want to be there with the big city, with all the other people, enjoy life, go to clubs, drink and eat and dine. And so they started mingling in the Egyptian society. Yes, the same story was in Nazi Germany. The Germans were the first one to give emancipation, to give the free choice to everybody, to all the citizens and also the Jews that were not allowed to do a lot of things in other countries. Germany decided that they are allowed to do whatever they want, and they started going to university and learn with the Goyim. And of course, as we see today in the States, this was not healthy from the spiritual point of view, and we lost so many of our people this way. And this was what's happening in Egypt. And don't forget for a minute, when we'll see in the next parashat that eventually when Am Yisrael going out of Egypt, only 20% got out. 80% stayed there. All this story is to tell us and to understand the reason why things are happening, and to understand what is our task in life. What is the meaning of the names, Ele Shemot Bnei Israel, and what's the meaning of the blessing that we got last week from Jakob Avinu. All those things are the tools and the knowledge to know what is our job in this life. What are we doing in this world? This is only a temporary world. We are preparing ourselves for the next world here. And we must not forget this and not be tempted by Pharaoh. Ele Shemot Bnei Israel Haba'im Mitzrayma, says the Adam Sinai, they're going down to Egypt. They're going down to Egypt. Mitzrayim is Metzarim. It's closing you. It's putting all around you all the pleasures of the body. And Pharaoh is telling you, come, enjoy life. Be like us. What do you need all those nonsense? And this is happening to us every day. All the time. It's like this morning I was talking in Shul about an interesting point. They say when Moshe Rabbeinu got married to Tzipporah, the daughter of Yitro, Yitro made with him an agreement. And he says, you want to marry my daughter? I would love you to. But there is one thing you have to do. The first son, he goes to Avodah Zarah. He's going to be an idol worshipper. The second children, all the other children, they go to God. You know, we read this midrash and we can't understand what's going on here. What do you mean? Well, Moshe Rabbeinu swore to Yitro that, okay, I agree with this condition. Really? Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to give his firstborn to be idol worshipper? To be in Avodah Zarah? Unbelievable, how can it be? And also Yitro, as we know, was the one who was seeking for the true, and he found the true, and he believed in God, eventually. But the Pnei Menachem, the Admor Migur, he says this is an interesting thing to understand. This is a discussion about how to educate your kids. It's a different point of view, the point of view of Moshe and the point of view of Yithro. Moshe Rabbeinu knows the truth must be taught to the children in order to keep it and go in this way. Strictly. It's not a matter of choosing or seeking or looking. But Yithro, he is the guy who looks for the truth. And he knows one very important thing, as we all know. If you look it for yourself and you find the right answer and you find the truth, this truth is going to stay with you forever, because it's not the same when they tell you something and this is the way it is than when you find it out by yourself. But it's a big problem. And we can see today, if there is a doubt, if we don't know the truth, yes, we can agree that maybe the best way is to seek and to look. But to give your kids the freedom to choose when you know what is the truth, what is right and what is wrong, and you give them the choice, it's like sending your kids to try heroin, marijuana, drugs, and they will choose if it's good or not. Yes? Is this the right way? Are we willing to do a thing like this? Or sending our kids to choose if to be murderers or to be peace people, sending to Daesh, to have a course in Daesh, a terrorist course? Of course we're not going to do it. Let your children choose if to put their fingers into the electricity or not, in the electric socket or not. Of course not, because I know what is the true and what is the right and what is the wrong. So in a case like this, I have to give them the tool. I'm not going to experiment, to use my children as experiment animals. I do experiments on my children to see if they choose right and if they look and find for the right way, for the truth. And it's today more difficult than ever, when everybody is showing us a distorted, a corrupt world all around us. Look what's going on. As we heard only lately about a kid in high school that raped girls in his school. When we see all this terrorist action happening all around us. When we hear about drugs in school, hard drugs. How can we give our children to choose and to seek for the truth by themselves? They need us to know what is true and what is wrong. And it's a very important issue. And this is Ele Shemot Bnei Israel. Those are the names. This is the acid. This is the tool that we get when we went into Egypt. And if we learn how to use them right, we will come out of Egypt. We will come to the Geulah, Be'ezrat Hashem. And this is an important lesson to be learned. As we see, when we start mingling with the society around us, when we start mingling with the corruption around us, look all around us. We see it every day happening. But that's the fight. That's the Pharaoh inside of us who tries to surround us and to take us and make us slaves to the lust, to the desire. But we have our names. We have our blessing from Jakob. And we know how to fight it. And we're going to fight it. And we're going to educate our children and our great-grandchildren. We are going to educate them and show them the truth. We are going at least to try, not let them choose by themselves what is right and what is wrong when we know for sure what is right and wrong. Of course, there are a lot of things that they have to seek and to find by themselves. But the basic, this is our job. Be'ezrat Hashem. When we learn how to deal with life, how to deal with the Pharaoh in our life, and use the abilities that God gave us in the right way, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will get to the Geulah Shlema b'mera b'yameinu. Amen.